I have to admit that before I started doing this show, I got most of my legal advice from American TV shows like Law and Order or Night Court. But now I know that the Canadian legal system is a lot different from the United States. So to get the real skinny on life, liberty, and security of the person, I decided to go ahead and talk to a frontline criminal defense attorney. So I'm on the street here in Guelph, Ontario with my friend, lawyer Michael Moon. How's it going, Michael?
Good.
Is it okay that I call you my friend?
$20 in the mail, yeah.
Okay, so Michael, on the show we're talking about the right of life, liberty, and the security of a person. Now, in your role as a lawyer, do you think that the average Canadian understands what that means? No?
Not at all. Most Canadians have a preconception of their liberty in Canada based on law and order. The Miranda rights, those don't exist in Canada. Not at all.
So I'll give you an example, and I'll just ask you. I guess this translates into free legal advice, basically. But I'm walking down. I'm walking down the street here, and let's say I'm approached by a police officer.
Yeah.
And he stops me and starts questioning me. What next? What happens?
In law, you don't have to answer the questions. You can walk away. In fact, that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull. Because then they will, why are you walking away? And they're allowed to engage in what is called an investigative detention, which means that even if they have no reasonable suspicion that you're doing anything wrong, they can stop you, question you, and in some cases even search you. So if you exercise your legal right to walk away, you're inviting trouble.
What about the old, if I don't have ID and they ask me for ID, do I have to show them ID?
If you don't have ID, you obviously can't show it to them. What you can't do is, if you answer the questions, you have to be honest. You have to give them your name. You have to give them your proper name. Because quite possibly they may engage in further investigation. And if they find out that you've in any way misdirected them, then you're charged with obstruction of justice. And then there's a snowballing effect here. Say the police officer says, "What's that in your pocket?" And he starts patting you down and you say, "What are you doing?" You hit his hand away. Well, you've just assaulted a police officer.
For real?
Yes.
That's actually true.
Yes. So you can just see how it can escalate. They have an obligation when they arrest you to exert physical force, actually put a hand on you. You may object to that. So now you're assault resisting arrest. And then other police officers come. And then before you know it, you're just dragged off somewhere. You're facing 10 or 15 charges because you had the audacity to walk down the street and not answer the police officer.
And what happens when they do arrest me? Do they read me my rights? Does all that stuff happen?
In the flurry of activity which often accompanies an arrest, they will sometimes give you have the right not to answer questions, and there are a couple of cautions, and then there are rights to counsel. Unless you're a sophisticated criminal, this is going to go by you in a big whiz. And this is where the biggest misconceptions about your rights under the law, I find, exist, because when we see on a Law and Order, you have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you. You have the right to have an attorney present during questioning. You don't. You have the right to speak to a lawyer once. So you can be brought into a police station. You're not entitled to have a lawyer present with you when you're being interrogated by the police. Not at all. If you're arrested at night, if you have a lawyer on retainer, you call them at 2 o'clock in the morning, chances are you won't get them. So the police don't have to wait. They'll say, okay, well, here's legal aid duty counsel, who are lawyers, who are competent lawyers. They give you an 800 number. The duty counsel says, don't talk to the police. That's it, right? Your exchange with them lasts for 5 minutes or so. And then the duty counsel, I do this with my clients. I talk to the police and say, he doesn't want to talk to you. Right? He wants to exercise the right to remain silent. Just go back to his cell. Okay, so then they hang up, they take him in. They don't have to stop questioning you.
Really?
Right. And I think it was Justice Binney in St. Clair said it's an endurance contest. You speak to a lawyer at the very beginning of it. The lawyer says, don't talk to the police. The lawyer tells the police he doesn't want to talk to you. The police say, okay. They hang up, they take you in, and they interrogate you for 5 or 6 hours. Right? And you say during this, well, I want to speak to my lawyer again. No. You're not allowed to speak to your lawyer again. Well, I want to have him present. No, you're not allowed to have him present. Plus, the police are allowed to lie to you about evidence. They would say, we've got your fingerprints at the scene, right? They don't, right? Everything is to induce a confession. from you. So if there's any advice I can give to anybody, I tell this to my clients, right? If you're in a police interrogation room, you're not talking your way out of there. Put your head down on the desk. Don't say anything, right?
Are there any other misconceptions? I mean, that was a pretty big one that you just talked about there. Are there any other ones that you can think of that people just don't know when it comes to this sort of thing?
Well, in Canada, police are allowed to detain you on the street. They're allowed to search you without a warrant. They can search your person. They can search your body. They pat you down ostensibly for either police protection, because Lord knows you may have a gun in your tight pocket, right? But if the way things have developed right now is that in the United States, we hear the term fruit of the poisonous tree. If there's an illegal search, if they police do something improper, the evidence is excluded. That's not the case here in Canada. The police can engage in a patently unlawful search. They stop your car, they search your car, they search everybody in the car, strip search them, and they can go to court and say, yeah, we were looking for drugs. We had no basis to believe it, but we were looking for drugs. And all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada said, yes, what they did was wrong, but it's drugs. It was there anyway. So the administration of justice would be brought into disrepute if we don't allow that evidence in. So what it means is that you have rights, but there's no remedy for the breach of the rights.
So do we have freedom of life, liberty, and security of person in this country?
To a degree, I suppose we do, but to an increasing degree, I think that's being taken away from us. You know, the fact that we have a term called post 9/11 is a sad statement. And what's happened from that is that we've had the enforcement arms of the state, the various police forces, who have been given more power to be able to erode more of our civil liberties. If they can search you, if they can do all this, and you go to the court and the court says, yes, they were wrong, but I'm letting the evidence in anyway, so do you really have security of the person? Do you have liberty in that sense? So I think it's still there, but it's being eroded.
Well, thanks, Michael. If I should get a card, because if I ever need you, I hope I don't. But
if you need me, you're in a world of trouble.
Thank you very much. That was lawyer Michael Moon here in Guelph, Ontario.